Transformative education, okay. It came from, the etymology of it is, it came from critical feminist, queer, critical race theory. The idea was to, could we have an umbrella term that would include all of these? And so transformative sort of came out of that motivation. So it's meant to incorporate any kind of pedagogical approach that questions social, cultural, ecological relationships that are caught in these power imbalances. Issues of justice, of course. But also included is, I think, an aesthetic approach to pedagogy, largely because the aesthetic approach allows us to question social norms, reinterpret social norms, social processes, to get at them through really imaginative ways that that really stimulate our thinking in different ways, in really productive ways, and just simply talking about it and having those little abstract discussions. So, if we can use, for instance, if we can use a mural, if we can use Picasso there, Guernica. I always screw it up. Guernica, that's a mural that obviously has issues of justice in it and can help us really explore who we are. Same is true for Diego Rivera's work. Same is true for Frida. They're powerful narratives through art. So finding a way to really connect all those, and I know that work is also out there too, using the aesthetics to connect with the justice issues. So that's more along the lines of what transformative education is. The way that it plays out differently than traditional teaching or even liberal progressive teaching, in that it's focused on actual work in the community. So there might be a lot of work done in the classroom, but the larger goal is to connect with community. At the elementary level, one of the books that's really good with this is Mary Cowie's book, Black Ants and Buddhists, and she shows how she has taken her elementary kids to food shelters and worked in community-oriented sort of activities. At the heart of this is a process called thick description, and it's not about finding the right answer, but it's about finding a way to find out who we are, to interpret that, to describe that, to explore that, to really mind that, and to use these lenses, these social lenses, these cultural lenses, these ecological lenses, these aesthetic lenses. Each one of these lenses comes into play and helps us really describe who we are, what we're doing, where we've been, where we're going to. And at the secondary level, the subject areas, they basically take those same questions and make derivatives of them. And it just plays out. Math would use the same core questions, but derive them maybe through demographics, through statistical approaches of who we are. Science might do so and say, who are we in nature, and not just rely on a Western lens, but incorporate native lenses or incorporate feminist lenses. So you get the idea. That obviously, at the secondary level, when you're talking about literature, there's just so many possibilities of how to do that critically feminist. You incorporate feminist thinking, incorporate eco-justice. There's just so many opportunities for that. I also teach art students, or art education students, and music, and the same questions over and over, but how can it be expressed in these formats, in these paradigms, in these subject areas? So that's largely what it is. The process of teaching, at least from my perspective, is students. I sort of see it falling out into three categories of students. The first category is the students who it really resonates with them. Like there's this immediate connection to it, and they go, whether it be because of their lived experiences or discussions of justice that they're just gravitating towards. I'll do something, whether it be show the color of fear, or we're talking about a lesson plan that somebody wrote, and or just a larger concept about constructing these lenses, and they just want to like stand up and cheer and just hug each other and yay, this is great, and I get a lot of that where students are, my classes, which are supposed to be 2 hours and 40 minutes, end up being 2 hours and 40 minutes plus the 20 minutes and 30 minutes and an hour afterwards that we keep talking about it. And that group of students just wants to keep talking about it, which is great. I love that. I love it. I love it. I stopped. I'm tired. Okay. The second group is the sort of group. I don't know. I don't exactly know where this or why this exists, but I think it's probably because of lived experiences, where they haven't had the exposure to these experiences or these processes going on in society, and so it just sounds distant. It doesn't sound like it's real. It sounds like it's speculative. Or they should keep sort of being skeptical of it, which of course they should. It helps us grow and all that, but there's a tendency towards not really accepting it, but not really questioning it either, because they're oftentimes not aware of their own lenses that they're using to provide the questioning. So they'll question white privilege as if it's something that doesn't really exist, or they'll question like, does racism even exist today, or is there sexism? Like, and you can sort of hear in their voice and their tone that it's a skepticism of these things even existing. I guess I'll just put it that way. Largely, this group will, well, what I see is, it's like a moment of, wow, is this real? Is this stuff really going on? And that to me is always an interesting moment, and I see this happen a lot with the video, when I use the video in The Color of Fear. It's just such a powerful, intense experience that these gentlemen in the video are sharing with one another about racism, that at the end of it, it's hard not to be transformed by it. And especially this middle group of students I'm talking about, or the second group. They tend to be pretty, like, it shakes them up a lot. Right? And there's a small sort of third category, which is the group that oftentimes is rejecting a lot of it. Maybe that's a harsh word, but they're maybe it's, okay, lived experiences as part of it, not having experiences where they've connected with or they've seen that these issues of injustice are going on. Maybe they just sort of hear about it, but it's not in their life. But what they tend to, I think, bring with them is a preconceived notion of what teaching is, maybe because of how they've seen teaching done. But they bring that with them, and they really kind of protect it, and by the time they get through student teaching, they haven't really changed much. I know there's a lot of research out there showing that too, that for this particular group, or maybe students in general, there's not a lot of movement. But I that's a real tough group to work with, and a lot of times they end up taking up a lot of the conversation, and oh man, it's whenever I show The Color of Fear, it just takes one person who is rejecting the notion of racism to change the whole dynamics of how it plays out in that discussion that follows. Anyway, so I sort of see that that's how things are going on. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's kind of what I think I see going on with my students.